Hi, my name is Vigdor-Hess. I'm author of Sweetness Without Sugar. And I'd like to talk a little bit today about the differences between sugars and sweeteners. So you've heard me mention in some of the other videos, if you've watched them, about avoiding and limiting and greatly reducing, so it's a stepping stone, from the refined sugars and the artificial sweeteners. So ideally we want to omit those from our diet and our intake, and then we want to move towards using alternatives so that we can still have things that taste sweet, but we are getting rid of the toxic sweeteners, including the artificial sweeteners and the refined sugars. So I'd like to help do that, and I also want to talk a little bit about the differences between sugar. So we can start with a simple example of a juice versus a whole fruit. So we can look at an orange and we can say, okay, well, we get fiber in eating the whole orange, and we get all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and then we can have the juice itself, and that has other ways that it can help us, but it also affects our blood sugar more, because the fiber in the whole orange will help slow down the absorption of the sugar into our system, whereas the juice doesn't have that buffer. So, and then in addition, if it's pasteurized and it's not a freshly squeezed juice, there are other pieces of information related to that as well. So they're just different. But it's important to understand that our body processes sugars differently based on what else it's combined with. So it's not just the form of sugar itself, which is a very crucial point. It's also what is created around the sugar and what the other elements are at the same time. If, other than a fruit, if we take even just some of the alternative sweeteners that I have listed in the book as ones that you could use and ones that I do use in the recipes, you could even take those and you can clarify and make it even clearer about how you can decipher between different things. So for instance, let's take stevia, which in its most natural form is an herb, and you would find it in a bulk section where it would be green. Now oftentimes you're finding it in a bulk section, or you're finding it in the section, in most places in the supplement area, since it's still considered a supplement. Some grocery stores have now put it with the sweetener aisle as well, so it just depends on which store that you go to. But you can see that some of it, you see it as a white powder. So it has been processed already from the green leaf, from the plant form. And then in addition, you can learn more about stevia, which there are different parts of the plant. So in my book, I recommend in the resource section only certain brands of stevia, because of the reason that they're using the part of the plant that's been more widely researched for millions and millions of years, or I don't know about millions, but many, many years. And it's been more widely researched. So Sweet Leaf brand, for instance, has been very widely researched, and they're using the stevioside part of the plant, and that has been shown to have the most benefit and also the least amount. There's been no studies that show that it is harmful in any way. So if we're looking for that versus some of the other brands, such as Truvia or Purevia, which are using the Reb A or a different part of the plant, I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad. We just don't know. There's not as much research on that at this point that shows that it has the same effects or it's equal or equivalent to the stevia side. So these are some subtleties that we can look at where not everything is created equally. And I'm passionate about bringing this information out so that people can know the difference, and you can choose for yourself. So it may be that in your budget something works better than something else, and that's a very real reason to purchase something. So I just want to impart more of the information around this to let you know that there are differences between it. And along those lines, there's also differences between the actual sweeteners that we're choosing to use. So some sweeteners, even if it's considered more alternative and it's more healthy than a refined sugar or an artificial sweetener, for your body, you may notice effects from it that may not feel good for you, or it may affect your body differently because your metabolism or your unique chemistry doesn't respond well to that particular sweetener, even if it's a pure maple syrup with nothing else in it, or it's a stevia, or you may not like the flavor of some of these things. So these are all subtleties that are important to pay attention to. So just because somebody is saying, well, it's alternative, so it's safe, or so use this instead, even though that may be true, I'm encouraging everybody to check in with themselves as well and see what feels right for you, and see what works best with your body. And these are just more of the subtleties to different sugars, and not all of them are created the same, and not all of them react with our body the same way.